Welcome back, guys. As you all know, it's May, the month that's associated with mental health awareness and mental health support. So, I want to ask this question and I want to share my response to it. So, what are the biggest mental health issues you're currently dealing with? So, in my case, to be honest, no deaths in my immediate family, at least, no traumas, no substance abuse issues, nothing of that sort, as far as I know. Now, not gonna lie, my YouTube channel to some extent, because I'm anxious about it, because I'm here to discuss things I'm really, emotional and self-conscious about, namely neurodivergence, mental health, trauma, introspection, the meaning of life, self-improvement, things of this nature. But really, honestly, more importantly, most of my anxiety for the past 2 decades of my life is actually connected to the economy and work. Because this specific issue has affected me, I'd say personally, more than anything else in my entire life. I've been stressed out about jobs, work, professional development since around age 16, when most people can begin trying to work minimum wage, at least in our country. Now, this is because first and foremost, I never really knew what I wanted to become, never had a dream career in my mind. I know some kids do, but I wasn't that kind of person. I was just fixated on my video games, cartoons, reading books, just keeping myself busy with things that just bring joy to me and instant gratification sometimes. Nor did I ever discuss my life goals with my parents. They never asked me about them at all, never brought it up. Interestingly, however, when I was a child, apparently I audaciously blurted out one day that I wanted to become the president of the United States. And I think I was around second grade, and that's according to my mom. Personally speaking, I have no recollection of that whatsoever, of that day or that incident. But, come on. I mean, kids say silly things all the time. Whether or not it affects them down the road, it's something to see. Anyway, I got my driver's license at around, I think it was age 17. And back then, I'm a millennial, so it was okay. You could get it at 16, 17, it was fine. Nowadays, obviously, they changed it to 18 because of car accidents and some other kinds of things they had in mind. So I did that so I could drive to high school, and the other obvious reason had to do with expanding my sense of range. Because if I wanted to apply for work, get a job, a lot of shops and stores weren't really within walking distance where I lived. I did live in a suburb. There was a lot going on, but you can't really, come on, let's be realistic now. You can't really walk to every single place you want to apply to. You do need to have a car if you want to increase your chance of landing something. Okay, so let me think. Yeah, so at that time, it took me quite a while to find a minimum wage job. It was something I wasn't really lucky with. It was kind of tough, it was stressful. But when I did land one, um, it was kind of a frustrating process and experience for me. I'd burn out every time, and 3, 4 months in, I'd quit. The same thing would kind of repeat itself again and again with other minimum wage jobs, and I mostly worked in fast food and grocery at the time. Then, a year later, when I was 18, I begged my mom to let me take a gap year after completing high school, not because I was burnt out so much, but simply because I wanted to do some serious research and investigation on possible career options that would match my strengths. Because the stressors that were heavily affecting me at the time were that hands on experience with minimum wage. I realized it sucked and you don't get paid much at all. You're truly a wage slave. I don't care what anyone has to say. And the schedules are spontaneous and chaotic. Um, and you can't. It's not something you can really truly build off. You know, It's like an endless cycle to some extent. And more importantly, it comes back to a point I had mentioned earlier. I never had any dreams, aspirations as to what I want to become when I grow up. So, because of that primary reason, I wanted to take a bit of time, 7, 8 months or an entire year, just to, test the waters or consult with people, you know, go through my network, my social network, and ask people what they do for a living, whether or not they like it, they're satisfied with it, if whether or not they have any regrets, or what they would recommend if they were going to college, back then, during my time at least. But it just it never happened. My mom just really pushed me, pressed me to death to go to college, university, higher education, and I did. She just drove me nuts. So, I did 2 years at a community college, which was quite literally within a walking distance of where I lived. Like it's about a 15-minute walk, but I drove there. It wasn't a big deal. And back then, parking was, I think it was free, if I'm not mistaken. But today, if you were to go to the same CC, now there's paid parking spots like almost everywhere. Go figure. And then I transferred to a university and did 2 years there. Again, I thought about taking a gap year after the 2 years, but my mom was like really on my ass. Apologies. You know, she was just on my case. She wouldn't let it go. Like, hey, no, you gotta get a college education. By college education, I mean a bachelor's degree. So, after a lot of pressure, I applied to a few local universities, got accepted to one of them. After graduation, or I should give some insight about my university experience. So it was okay. At the time, I wasn't totally stressed out, and I was unaware of my neurodivergence. I wasn't thinking about mental health or anything of this nature at all. So I did have stress. I did experience that like anybody else in life, but most of that stress was chiefly coming from, you know, coursework. Okay, I gotta do a bunch of 10, 12 page papers for a bunch of classes in the same term, same semester, and there are projects, there are exams based on really long, thick textbooks, and there's of course the research labs and things of that nature. So it was a lot of work because I went to a research university for my final 2 years. And after I graduated, there was a sense of relief, like, okay, I I got this huge monkey off my chest. So maybe moving forward things would get better somewhat, to some extent. I was still kind of anxious or nervous when thinking about the future because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to be. But when I began applying for work, I just realized this situation was miserable. It didn't matter that I went to university. It didn't matter that I did volunteer work. It didn't matter that I did internships as well. I thought about all these little things in advance, ahead of time. But the situation was ridiculous. I mean, like, I was applying to minimum wage jobs, SEO jobs, digital marketing, which was hot at that time. And I knew it was hot, but I couldn't land anything. I did get interviews 50% of the time, but nobody, would give me a chance. Like, literally speaking, guys, I'm not bullshitting you. Like, that is my experience. You could call me a liar. You think I'm over exaggerating, but that's what happened to me. Anyway, and I remember there were like these MLM scams going on. Like one of the companies was called Vector. They were like trying to recruit workers at my community college, and you had to sell stupid things. It was similar to Amway. Like, like with Amway, they were selling like pencils, stationery. With this company, I took a look at, and I, walked out of there after the interview, after they said I'm hired, because I realized, this is an MLM. it's a pyramid scheme, a pyramid scam. So I didn't even bother working for them. They wanted us to sell knives. Ridiculous, stupid. It just doesn't make any sense. So you can see my critical thinking and common sense, and introspection are still there, and they still are here today. So anyway, just years later, after like a period of unemployment, and I was supported by my dad. I'm really grateful for that. Without him, I'd be homeless. But I remember like 1 year after graduation, I was just binge watching all those, golden movies from the 90s. And I did watch some like black and white vintage ones occasionally, like Casablanca, Sunset Boulevard, things like that. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, whatever else there was. But I was mainly watching those like '90s classic movies like Terminator One, Terminator Two, Matrix Two, it's etc. Because when I was a child, I didn't watch too many movies. I did see some, but not a whole lot. Anyways, I just caught up on that. Then I did some other kinds of minimum wage work here and there, and but the thing that really bugged me the most, or really kind of um, makes me upset in hindsight, at least, all those friends I made throughout the years, that like 90% of them were fantastic. Most of them were great folks. I just let things drift apart. Friends from university, college, my minimum wage jobs, high school. It's really sad to say, but I was so damn stressed out that I lost one of my phones. I lost some contacts, like information like emails and whatnot, and I could say like 90% of my contacts were lost. I know it's silly again, stupid, but that's what mental stress does to you. Like when you're feeling like crap inside, you just don't care. You just let your world go, and it's bad. And I remember, smoking weed a little bit more than I usually would. I only tried it 2 or 3 times in high school altogether. But after experiencing this shit fest, I started like smoking a little bit more and more, but I never got addicted to it. I know like some people smoke for years and then quit or something like that, but I just did it like 8, 9 times in the span of 2 years or something, just to like not think about my current situation at the time because I was really miserable. Um, what else did I want to say about this? I'm already kind of lost in thought because it's something that still plagues my mind today. But anyway, so yeah, and that's when I kind of became a doomer for a lot of my 20s, mid to late 20s, I would say. And why is this still a relevant issue today? Well, because we're in another recession right now. And you don't want to look at the stock market that Trump and his cronies have manipulated for their own benefit. That's quite misleading. Since the 2008 recession, we have experienced more wars, increased inflation numbers, living costs have gone up, real estate is inaffordable, competition is growing bigger and bigger by the second because so many people have college degrees, certificates, skills of all kinds nowadays. And with the emergence of AI in business, it just makes things a lot worse. It's because, it becomes really incredibly difficult to cope with all this. It's just a mind fuck of epic proportions. Excuse my language. Anywho, I'd love to hear from you guys. We're a community. This is YouTube. What are 3 things that are causing a ton of mental stress for you? What are those stressors? If you can't name 3 of them, then at least just name one. Thank you. See you.